If you ask modern citizens of Columbus where Flytown is, the common reaction would probably be confusion and a shrug. This sign is the only remnant of Flytown, Columbus. Etched into stone, it says, Flytown was democracy's melting pot for the city of Columbus. But even more important, it became known as the port of entry for the immigrant settlers of central Ohio. New arrivals found friends and relatives who guided them through the initial steps of becoming naturalized citizens.
Like smoke in the dawn. We were the young.
A sense of place is a powerful thing, but a sense of community means even more. Flytown was a vibrant, lively, mixed neighborhood on the northern edge of downtown Columbus that was largely destroyed by freeway development in the 1950s. This is the story of the enduring sense of place and pride and community that lives on in the collective memory of some of its former residents. Flytown had many artists, writers, and musicians emerging from it, one of which was Edith Clarke, who wrote the book The Way, the Gifts, and the Power. Edith spent her youth in Flytown and later came to write a story about an autobiographical character who grows up in Flytown. The book is full of details of the culture and environment of the neighborhood that once flourished near the edge of Goodale Park.
Flytown was a community singular unto itself. It nestled around the Ohio State Penitentiary, a stone's throw from where the Olentangy and Scioto River merges, a hop, skip, and a jump from the geographical center of Columbus. Long Street on the south meandered along the edge of Front Street past Naughton, Maple, and Vine, crossed the Pennsylvania Railroad tracks at Spruce, skirted down Goodale Street past the park, followed the streetcar line past Park, followed the streetcar line past Neal Avenue, cut through Henry Street and Buttles, then up to an undefined line which eventually ended at the Olentangy River to the west.
Flytown brought a diverse culture to Columbus. It consisted of blacks, Italians, Hungarians, Jews, Irish, and many more immigrants from around the world, totaling to 17 different nationalities living in the area. Race was not a common issue because their culture was focused on working hard on developing their community to keep it strong. The streets were lined with shops, bars, and grocery stores that provided to anyone who lived or worked nearby. Legend has it that the name Flytown came from the amount of flies that were attracted to the area because of the dense amount of Italian grocery stores located nearby. The people of Flytown were able to build places that connected them to each other and the community. One of the most important places established was the Godman Guild. The guild acted as a community center where residents were able to do things like take English classes, parents could leave their kids there for childcare, adults could go there to find work, and it was also a center for the arts.
The Godman Guild was the heart, the hub, the center around which revolved the community of Flytown. It taught the laws and ordinances, showed them the way wherein they must walk, and brought their cause to the attention of the rulers in the city. Long before the nation would be confronted with the same problems, the Godman Guild met and found solutions, faced honestly and squarely the needs of the neighborhood, and welded the transplanted souls into a solid acknowledgement of pride in themselves and their community. There was segregation at the Godman Guild. Whites used the facilities on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, while the colored used them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturday for special basketball games or dances. It was a loose form of segregation, however. A white or colored drifted through any day of the week, bent upon some small business of their own, and nobody objected. The people who had escaped from oppression in Europe had not been in America long enough to absorb the meaning of what society deliberately encouraged them to believe in themselves in relationship to the colored people. And the coloreds, 1 foot out of the South, were not ready to grasp or recognize what society would of him in the North. Everyone accepted segregation then as a matter of convenience. It was the easiest way to ensure each human being a chance at the facilities in company with others who spoke a semblance of the same language, ate the same types of food, whose habits and customs had not yet made them true Americans under the skin.
At this time, mixed communities were not looked upon fondly, and it could not be clearly understood how there weren't many racial tensions in a place as diverse as Flytown. But the community made it work, and they strived to build a home that they were proud of. Even though the Flytown community was content with their neighborhood and lifestyle, there was outside opposition that eventually took over. A mixed-race community, and a poor one at that, is not something that society wanted included in the Columbus culture. In the 50s, there was a national movement for renewal and embracing the new developments in the outside suburbs. Many neighborhoods were cleared for the purpose of making room for improved housing, but in the case of Flytown, it was to allow a new interstate to be built. What was then called the Goodale Expressway, and now Interstate 670, caused the destruction of the Flytown community. In the late 50s, early 60s, surveys were conducted to look at race, segregation, and income levels all around Columbus. There was a clear correlation between low income levels with high Black and immigrant populations and those communities that were labeled blighted and were destroyed for renewal. Neighborhoods all over Columbus experienced this loss of sense of place and community. Will Haygood, another distinguished author who grew up in the area similar to Flytown, wrote in his book, The Haygoods of Columbus, of the beautiful memories that he had growing up in a place like this.
The things I knew seemed fine enough. I knew how to find my jar of marbles in the dark. I knew that living on the north side of Columbus in a green house with a yellow trim, a backyard with a dirt hill, a raspberry bush to run circles around, I was happy. Sometimes I floated. I swear it felt like I floated through days, mornings, afternoons. Even now I sometimes wake up on the edge of sleep and try to summon back that time and place, the way the air felt in that Midwestern town, the leafy autumn days, human voices butterflying through screen doors, the shuffle of old men's shoes.
Even though the physical and communal structure of Flytown no longer exists, old residents still try to keep the connection that they once had. Each summer, they hold a reunion celebrating the memories that they enjoyed together once in Flytown. Former resident Osprey Wade said,
It was a neighborhood where everybody knew everybody and everybody understood everybody. You could leave your doors open, you could trust one another. You had all races of people. We all went to school together and everybody got along.
Coming back to these communities that these residents knew is a different experience, but when they do return, they are washed over with memories of what a great place it once was.
Now and then, riding around Columbus, touching up against childhood, I'd take a ride out to the Olentangy River Dam, my old dam. I'd stand there, looking at the water gushing in, listening to the passionate gurgling, remembering my days standing on those slippery rocks, the fear that gripped me when I fell into the water, the rising up so quickly, into sunshine, light, life.
The image of Flytown, as seen by the outsiders, did not reflect the glory of the neighborhood and achievements of the children and any small accomplishment of a Flytowner. Nor did the image reflect the sympathetic aid and comfort always at hand for a fellow neighbor if there was a trouble in the family, a death, or prolonged bout of sickness.
Whether it is the sign that stands in Goodale Park, the memories written by Clark and Haygood, or the stories told by living residents, Flytown is still there. Cannot be seen, but it can be felt. And the fact that it still resonates shows the power that the sense of community can have, even when the physical aspects have been torn down.
Come by sea, swarm like smoke in the dawn. for the young.